About a year ago, I did a review on these kind of no-name AliExpress toe, sock, shoe type things. Over the past year, I've made a couple of additions to my shoe collection, and that includes these. Across these three pairs of shoes, there's only probably about a 1.5 millimeter difference at most. So pretty comparable in that aspect. But the way it feels underfoot is definitely different. The really cheap no-name sock shoe deals are of course going to be more flexible. They don't have any actual like hard rubber substance on there. Whatever that chopped up stuff is on the bottom is very, very malleable. So the flexibility aspect definitely goes to the AliExpress shoes. The Vibrams, though, I get the feeling would provide a significant amount of protection from things like thorns or small like tacks or nails or whatever, versus the socks that, you know, for all the flexibility you get from that, you're also going to be losing some protection. Maybe in the most demanding environments you may notice difference in the grip, but for me, just walking around day-to-day stuff at the park or whatever, they all grip really well. The FiveFingers shoes should also provide you a bit more protection from the most mild of, you know, wet grass or, you know, other mud, you know, something like that, versus those socks shoe things that, as I mentioned in the previous one, if there's any moisture around, it's getting in, and it's getting in fast. The FiveFingers shoes, of course, also have a lacing system, so you have a much better adjustment for that sort of thing. For me, the sock shoes fit my feet great, and I've never felt the need to make them tighter or looser, but obviously that's going to vary by person. One thing that applies to all of these is that you feel so secure and sure of yourself when you're like hopping around rocks, or if you're kind of like adventuring. The flexibility and just the lack of material underfoot really makes you feel like you know very much where you're at. Nothing has been numbed or anything, and like the grip and the like almost like brain connection type of thing with your foot and your body overall makes me feel so much more secure if I'm like hopping across rocks to try to get a picture in the middle of a river, or just climbing around rocks for fun or whatever like that. So that's a huge thing really for any of these shoes. One consideration you have to make with the AliExpress shoes is that because they look so much like socks, some people might think that you genuinely forgot to put on shoes. It may sound silly, but I've had a couple of occasions where I got some pretty strange looks. And the area that I live in, really, I don't think that toe shoes are going to be that strange. So I think it wasn't because they were toe shoes, but because they thought that they were just socks. You know, many of you may not care, but just a heads up in case you do. I'd only just give you a little bit of a warning that the sizing can be funky. I wear a size 43 in the FiveFingers. I wear a size 44 in many other shoes, but ultimately I had to go with a size 39 to 40, which makes absolutely no sense, but you know, whatever. So if you're just getting started with toe shoes, you're just checking it out, trying to see if it's something that you want to invest in the future, the AliExpress is definitely a great option. If you're a more adventurous hiker type of person, then I would definitely go towards the FiveFingers. The added grip, the added protection, and the ability to crank down those laces and make a much more secure fit is kind of a no-brainer for those environments. But more mild stuff, the socks have worked out great for me, held up, you know, after a year. They don't look any different than the day I took them out of the bag, except for a little more dirt. Never had an issue with them being sloppy. Just, you know, that's going to come down to a personal fitment issue. But for me, they've been really great, and there's definitely times I grab them before I grab the FiveFingers that I spent considerably more money on. So yeah, it all comes down to use case, but definitely a viable option, which is not necessarily what I would have expected for this price from a shoe that literally doesn't have a brand name on it. Like any brand name is just a string of random words. I'll put all the links to these different things in the description. But yeah, I just want to do that comparison because I felt like they were similar in some aspects and very different in others. And now hopefully this can help you save some money or save some hassle.